tell us about what do you know about Peter Obi? What makes him such a unique political figure with such a huge followership in such a relatively short period as compared to, say, an Atiku who has been there since 1992 or 1993 and all of that? What do you know about Peter Obi that the rest of Nigeria don't know? That makes him unique.
The Germans call it Zeitgeist, the spirit of the time. I have said time and again, and I want to use those words here, that the biggest political commodity in Nigeria today, currently, is Peter Gregory Obi. The strongest political phenomenon individually is Peter Gregory Obi. And three things may just be particularly responsible for it: his seeming humility, his humanity, and then his love and belief in God. The universe has a way of endowing a man with unique gifts and privileges. Now, what that man does with it is the next call.
I'm surprised you didn't mention his legendary, as it were. Okay, some call it stinginess, but the better way of phrasing it is frugality. You know, fiscal discipline. That's the proper way I would put it.
No, I'm not a fan of that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mention that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All over the world, I haven't seen nations pride in their ability to save. I've seen nations pride in their ability to save, to spend money wisely. You know, America is about the world's greatest debtor nation, but it's about the most functional economy. China isn't saving all the monies. China is spending the monies to grow more billionaires. I am more inclined to prudently spending resources for growth. I'm not a fan, and that's what got the Obidients worried when they decided to disown me. But my conscience hasn't said otherwise.
So you're not taken in by his austere
no.
simple
Frugality
lifestyle.
is not, frugality is not the linchpin of leadership. What is the linchpin of leadership is prudence and the ability to save, to spend wisely, to grow the economy, to grow jobs. You cannot, because there are thieves around your neighborhood, close shop. You cannot, because there are thieves around your neighborhood, say you won't spend your money so that people, let me save it so they don't steal it. So that is an admission of some kind of handicap. So I think, and that's why I'm begging the Obidients and I'm asking Peter Gregory Obi to raise the praxis of his campaign. If he insists on going alone, take the campaign a notch higher. That you saved monies is not a guarantee for progress and development. That you spend the monies wisely is a precursor to growth and progress. So in talking about what works for Peter Gregory Obi, I think it's humility. I think it's his humanity, the ability that he is sympathetic and empathetic. And I think also it's his fear and love for God. That's what I know about him. But if you're talking about, the same way I was one of the very few in the Buhari campaign who said to stop telling people that you don't have a house in Kaduna because we know you have. Stop telling people that the only place where you have a house is in Daura, because that's not true. We have facts and figures that contradicts it. I don't want to hear about Peter Gregory Obi who tells me about 2 shoes or 2 watches. He's a billionaire by all standards, so that's not my concern. What my concern is about putting country first and a commitment to righting the wrongs with our country and showing me a programmatic process by which and through which those wrongs can be righted.
Let's put it in context. This idea of fiscal discipline. I said some say it's stingy, some say it's frugal, but the appropriate phraseology is actually fiscal discipline. In contrast to, say, President Tinubu, who bought a yacht, who bought a new jet at maybe 150 to 200 billion naira, who rebuilt VP mansion, 21 billion, renovated the ICC in
What
Abuja.
for me is prudence.
No, just hold on. The ICC in Abuja,
Profligacy.
hold on, Prof. 39 billion. Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway,
Profligacy is
15 trillion naira without due process. I could go on. So,
While
a Peter Obi,
no-no.
hold on, Prof. A Peter Obi, I know, because I know that when Peter Obi shone like a lodestar, blazed on the political scene, was after I left office in Anambra. And he went to the Covenant platform
That's
in Lagos
right,
and
the
spoke.
platform, yes. And talked about those issues.
He was about his ability to manage prudently the finances of Anambra State and left huge sums for his predecessor, for his successors, rather than, which is totally against the norm.
You're returning me to that practice. And
Yes.
I say again, without
Yes.
equivocation,
Yes.
that saving monies is not a political manifesto. Saving money is not an economic manifesto. Spending monies wisely to create jobs, to build infrastructure, to engage and obliterate poverty, if you like, is a campaign philosophy and a mantra. Now, let me tell you why that resonated. In the land of the blind, one-eyed man becomes the king. Because we have a regime, a generation of, pardon my choice of word, profligates, a generation of wasteful leaders, the idea of saving money resonated. You don't go to the Japanese to tell the Japanese that the governor saved 1 trillion yen. The Japanese will tell you, and I don't have light, and the roads are not good, and the schools are not fantastic, and then he will lampoon you. You don't go to an American to tell an American that you have saved money more than any government in history. He will tell you, and what has happened to Medicare?
There's so much poverty and all of
Yes.
that. Joblessness.
So, and that was why I brought that allegory about the Obiano scenario, and I brought that issue about the Ngige scenario where under Ngige, poverty index in Anambra State was about 46%. Under Peter Obi was about between 52 and 56%. Poverty was more. Under Obiano, it was between 16 and 22%, which was less. And, the question is not necessarily about who saves money. It's about who spends for the progress and the development of the state. And that's where I want the Obidients and Nigerians to raise the notch. It's an intellectual debate. It was, and I quoted here Patrick Wilmot, who said that his crime was to have taught the young to think. Sometimes provoking thought and thinking could upset certain people, but that's the truth. You cannot come to my house, for instance, to say, oh, my dad. In growing up, where young people who will sit down to discuss, my dad too stingy. My uniform don't tear. He say, make a manager. How does it make a fantastic dad? Answer the questions for you to conjecture. Now, what is necessary is not profligacy, like you mentioned, where rather than spend for progress and create jobs and bolster security and get people employed and get our security and healthcare blossoming and doing well, you hear about government spending 21 billion to build a VP house, buying a yacht, buying armored vehicles that necessarily does not impact directly on the people. What is important, and I maintain, is that I want to see a manifesto of a president, somebody who wants to be president, who can spend our monies wisely and rightly in how jobs will be created, how Nigerians will feel safer in their country, how our healthcare system will be improved upon, and how the overall well-being of the people will be improved upon.
Let's talk about the manifesto.
Saving of funds, that's not my.
Okay, let's talk about the manifesto. Yeah. You said Peter Obi's manifesto is empty. Why did you characterize it as such? Why is it empty?
I read through all the manifestos in 2023. Don't forget I was the spokesperson of the independent campaign group of Peter Gregory Obi. I was the lead spokesperson. And because I had to defend him, I had to study the other manifestos. Now, all three manifestos were empty. But in the score of emptiness, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's manifesto was on the list of the wrong. Peter Gregory Obi's manifesto came second from the rear. Atiku's My Pact with Nigerians came first. But like I noted, my disaffection with the Atiku candidacy and ticket was about his age and Generation Nest. And I think that with my suggestion of a unified ticket, the Peter Obi card will bridge that gap. Beyond that, don't forget, Wale, that all three candidates said they were going to remove subsidy. And I tell you again and again that was the wrongest of ideals to have thought about then. Yes, I agreed that there was a lot of corruption and profligacy in the subsidy regime. But do you, because there's a thief in the hood, close all the shops? No. What you do is run after the thief. Because at the core of the poverty in the Nigerian space today, interestingly, that's why I'm proud of Comrade Osifo of Pengasin. He has said in repeated forums that the government should find a way to return some level of subsidy so that businesses will start thriving, so that a Kaite, for instance, who had to close her salon because she cannot afford 1,400 naira per liter of fuel, will come back to business. So that, who perhaps is a vulcanizer, can have more cars back on the roads and then be able to eke a living. Across the divide, Nigerians depend largely on fuel to survive. Fuel rose from 267 naira per liter to today it's about 1,300 naira. And you can imagine, and people are wondering where this poverty came from. It was a wrong policy of government. And that's why the APC, rather than rejig that policy, is saying, what would your candidate have done differently? So that failure, if I were, and I did suggest at the period of politicking in 2023, for us to rethink that programmatic, because no economy grows without small-scale businesses thriving. As you and I talk, Wale, small-scale businesses are closing down every day.
Talking about Peter Obi's manifesto and your questions about its reasonability or workability or suitability for the times, you did criticize him that you didn't see anything specifically on agriculture and on climate change. Are you being fair to Peter Obi specifically on the issue of agriculture? Because there are so many videos out there. Peter Obi has spoken in details about his thoughts and ideas on making agriculture. Peter Obi says, for instance, that the North alone can power Nigeria's GDP to stratospheric levels based on agriculture, because we have the land. And that is why you see Peter Obi constantly referencing...
Well, I'm still a fan of Peter Gregory. Let me say this.
No, also, Prof, he constantly references what China is producing in cassava, what Bangladesh is producing in sorghum, in maize, in sugar, in this, in that. He compares Niger State's land mass to countries in Netherlands. I mean, so many videos. Are you being fair to Peter Obi concerning his thoughts on agriculture? Let's just focus on agriculture.
Let me say here that my predilection and preoccupation about those instances are simply that I want a manifesto. When I criticized the three major candidates, I didn't single out any for a hammer. Maybe the reason people went to town, and some called me a former Obidient, who I don't know when I denounced Peter Gregory Obi. I don't know when I did. I don't know where I did. And I don't understand. But if I criticize Atiku, criticize Tinubu, I reserve the right to my opinion, to also criticize Peter Gregory Obi, because for me it's country first. Now, let me make you laugh. Of the three major candidates, it was even Atiku that could tell us from production from consumption to production, because he's a farmer. He grows wealth. I don't know about Tinubu and farming. I don't know about Tinubu and growing of wealth. And I also know that my big brother, Peter Gregory Obi, is more of an importer of finished products. So I don't know where, and I still do not think that those were the fundamentals. I asked, and I'm still asking, anybody who wants to govern Nigeria come 2027 should go back to the drawing board. Look at issues about economy and tell us what exactly he will do with economy. Don't tell me about who is not a thief or who is a thief. If you want me to support your presidential ticket, tell me what you would do with power. Don't tell me about those who stole the monies before. Tell me what you will do with power. If you want to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, tell me what you would do with healthcare, with national security, because all of them told us what they would do with fuel subsidy, and albeit we know, those who have research and deep thinking know that their policies about fuel subsidy was going to put Nigeria in poverty, and that's exactly what is happening today. So I think that I wasn't being unfair to any of them. I was being fair to Nigeria, country first. That's the movement I represent. And I will continue to be fair to Nigeria until we are able to have a country that truly cares about the masses of our people. I am not beholden to any individual, to any politician. I will not die in their war. I will set the paradigms, if you like. I will set the basis for a debate, if you like.
One of the issues we also need to see, you've referenced it over and again, is that Atiku is too old, but and that the youth will probably have a challenge voting for him. But isn't that a contradiction?
A joint ticket
will balance that out. But the question is, perhaps the joint ticket does not work. Is Atiku different from, Nigerian youth, including yourself, by your self-admission here, voted for PMD, Muhammad Buhari, 2015, voted for Tinubu, 2023. So why is Atiku different?
I didn't vote for Tinubu in 2023.
But you voted for Buhari 2015.
I was a DG of Change Ambassadors of Nigeria in 2013, 2014. Yeah. And that's exactly the mistake that I am saying the Nigerians are unwilling to repeat. Buhari told us he would save money. He told us he would fight corruption. He told us he was frugal. He told us how he chased those who stole our monies in 1993. It sounds like
is it about the age?
Obidients and Peter Gregory
Is it about the age of the person? Donald Trump is 80. Lula da Silva of Brazil is in his 70s. Narendra Modi, you mentioned, is in his 70s.
Nigerians are going to America on medical tourism.
No, that's not the point.
No, let me make the point.
That's not the point.
When you listen, you will understand
the point. Is, it is not the age.
Nigerians are going, just watch. Nigerians are going to Brazil on medical tourism. Nigerians, the infrastructure works in most of those countries. So the nations can run on autopilot. Nigeria is a country that is largely dysfunctional. It needs a president who can think on his feet, who can walk around the clock. So Atiku's age comes in the picture. And that's why I'm saying that considering the monstrous support that Atiku has in the north and the monstrous support of the youth followership or following that Peter Gregory Obi has in the south and across the country, a joint ticket of these men will defeat the incumbent. Save and except that is done, I am not caught in the motiveness of the contemporary thought of the mob. I am not caught in the combative reasoning of the mob. I am interested in how Nigeria works for the greatest number.
I know we talked about the Osun elections, but let's put it in proper, or let me ask you pointedly, what lessons can the opposition take away? What is the major takeaway for the opposition in 2027 from Osun elections?
Take the message and the campaign to the people. tell the people that their votes matter, their votes can count. Tell the people that they can defend their votes. And also take strong lessons from the power of the incumbent against the mob. And then what they must do is to understand that had the opposition in the case of Osun State united long before, perhaps the victory that Adeleke got would have been difficult. And just to pose it with the challenges, the build-up to 2027, tell the opposition to coalesce and to come out with a formidable candidate and sell that candidate on the basis of ideology, the message for a better and a beloved community, a beloved society that works for the good of the majority of Nigerians. If you don't do that, if the opposition goes to the 2027 election the way as divided as it is today, by 1 p.m. on election day in 2027, Bola Ahmed Tinubu would have been coronated as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and given the ticket to a second term. That's the truth.
History, way back, into history. You were the director for youth for the Hope 93 Abiola campaign.
Yes, I was.
Director for youth, right?
Youth mobilization.
Youth
yes.
mobilization. That's a long way, 1993.
Then I was just 21, 20.
Wow. 2021.
2021.
Wow, that's a long way. What is remarkably different between an Abiola and the politics of that era and today, the candidates today and their politics? What's remarkably different?
Abiola was a leader of men. Abiola connected with the high and the low. Abiola preached fundamentally about our humanity. And remember those mantras. One of them was farewell to poverty. The other was that no Nigerian will go to bed without food in his stomach. Then the third was about Abiola's connect with every strata of society. And that was why the Muslim ticket in 1993 did not matter, because Abiola could connect with just about everybody. Going forward, he taught us, so many of us who were involved in the youth directorate of his campaign, that what must count is a philosophy. What must count is a manifesto. What must count is what we want to do for our nation. Unfortunately, it hurts to think about the fact that even when we celebrate June 12th, we refuse to internalize the ideals that made Abiola Olympic. And those ideals were about our humanity. As we go forward into 2027, what must count is the fact that I want the leading candidates, as campaign starts in a few days, I guess it's on the 18th or 19th, to tell me what they will do with poverty. Like Abiola told Nigerians what he will do with poverty. Tell me what they will do with security. Tell me what they will do with education. Tell me what they do with the infrastructure. Tell me what they will do with healthcare. Except these fundamentals are addressed. Nobody should, I won't even care about what names I'm called. I want to stand on the side of truth, on the side of the Nigerian people, and on the side of a republic, a nation that is in dire need of reset.